Hi friends, what is going on? I'm Alexandra, I'm founder of Life with Herpes. I'm excited to be here with you today to talk about herpes. I know people are like, what is exciting about herpes? A lot of things. Let's get into it. Before we do, I'm gonna tap the screen just to say thank you to the people that are here. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for spending time with me. I appreciate you. And I have so much gratitude when I hear from you and when I hear how these lives have supported you, how Life with Herpes, the community has supported you through your journey of being diagnosed with herpes. I know all about it, right? I was diagnosed with HSV-1 oral in 2003 and HSV-2 down there in 2011. So I've been living with this for decades. It's something that I have learned to live with. And not just live with, learned to create the life that I've wanted, even though I have herpes, right? So a lot of times we feel like, oh, I have herpes and so therefore I'm gonna have to sacrifice, or therefore I'm not gonna be able to accomplish the things that I wanna accomplish or be the person I wanna be. And that's complete BS. That's what the stigma wants you to believe. That's what your ego wants you to believe. That's what society that feeds the stigma wants you to believe. And that's completely it's very sad to me, and it truly hurts me to the core when I hear people saying like, I wasn't able to become a mom, or I wasn't able to become a dad, or I didn't get in the swimming pool with my children because I had herpes, things like that. It really, really, really hurts me to hear those things. And that is why I'm here. That's why I'm speaking about this. That's why I'm opening up about my life with herpes as someone who has lived with it since 2003 in order to help support you, in order to help get you through whatever spot you're in. Maybe you're in a dark spot right now. Maybe you're in a like, this is okay. This is great. This is all, I'm doing all right. Maybe you're in a spot of like, hey, I've had this for a long time as well, maybe as long as you, Alexandra, but it just popped up for me again because I've had a life change. Meaning maybe you're single, maybe you're getting outbreaks when you weren't in the past, all sorts of things that could be going on. All right, if you have been on lives with me before, you know that I get hundreds of questions. I get hundreds and hundreds and hundreds, well, not hundreds and hundreds, but I get hundreds of questions. And so I would love to answer all of your questions. So I will answer them in the order in which they are received. So do your best to keep the questions rated G. This app does not like PG-13, especially because of the subject matter. So do your best to keep it rated G. Do your best to, use maybe other words like intimacy opposed to other words, if you know what I mean, if you get my drift. Also, if you know somebody that has herpes, if you know somebody living with herpes, if you know somebody that has herpes, please share this information with them. Please share my information with them. It's Life with Herpes. I launched Life with Herpes in 2017 so that there would be a resource for people that have been diagnosed. Okay, now that all of my announcements are underway, now that I have gotten through, let me go back and scroll. I saw some questions coming in. Hi guys, hi. Smiley faces, hi. Hi, lots of smiley faces, hey. Eric says, you got yours in the 90, it still hurts. It hurts emotionally or physically. So typically the longer we have herpes, the less physical pain we have. Our outbreaks typically are not as significant. They're maybe 24, 48 hours, 36 hours. They're not gonna be like the huge hunkin', 2-week blister that feels like Armageddon on your life. But I can understand if you're saying the emotion still hurts, because that emotion, that trauma doesn't leave our body unless we heal it, unless we allow it to leave, unless we give it permission to heal and to feel. So a lot of times if we receive a herpes diagnosis, well, I'm assuming if you're watching this, you've all received a herpes diagnosis. That's trauma to our emotional state. We're not physical trauma, right? Like, you're not losing your hand. That's not like physical trauma, but it is emotional trauma. And so what do? Fight, flight, freeze. And if we just hold it in and never deal with it, never breathe into it, never release it, never journal about it, never accept it, never look at it, never say, wow, okay, what's the underlying message I'm supposed to learn from getting herpes? Not like, this gave me herpes, right? It's, okay, I have this, what am I supposed to learn? And looking at it as a learning opportunity, like what, instead of this happened to me, this happened for me, how am I gonna move through this? How am I gonna grow? What am I going to learn about myself? What am I going to learn about my life? So if we don't do that and we just kind of hold it in, it's going to store somewhere in our body, usually our hips. That's an area of a lot of trauma, especially sexual trauma. And it's going to hide, and it's going to say, okay, I want to pop up now. I want you to heal me. I want you to heal me. Come on, Alexandra, it's time to heal. And you're like, nope. I'm going to push you back down because I don't want to deal with you. I'm just going to go on. And what does that do? It manifests, and it creates even bigger issues in our body than just a herpes outbreak. So this is something I'm very passionate about. Obviously, I'm passionate about talking about what is herpes, the herpes 101, what's an outbreak, what's HSV1, all things. But my purpose here is, how do I get you from a herpes diagnosis to freedom? How do I get you from A to B? What's the journey? How do I get you through there, right? Not how do we cure herpes? I can't cure herpes. That's not who I am. But I can get you from A to B, and maybe you're seeing, I don't know how this is playing on the camera. Maybe this is better. I don't know what side is better. But think of a rainbow. How do I get you from A to the pot of gold, right? How do I get you thriving? How do I get you married to the love of your life, or dating the love of your life? Or if you don't want that, how do I get you just living your life, following your dreams? And that's really my goal. And that's something that I'm really focusing on this year, because I've been able to manage it. I didn't think I'd be able to be a mommy. I didn't think I'd be able to be breastfeeding my child. I didn't think I'd be able to have a vaginal birth. I didn't think I'd be married to my husband that I love, like, beyond. I didn't think I'd be living the life that I am, because when I was diagnosed with herpes, I was completely shattered. It was almost like, and you may relate to this, there was no twinkle in my eye. I look back at photos, like I'm looking at some right now, and you guys want me to pull a photo out of me when I was diagnosed? Like, give me a thumbs up, like give me like the heart, I don't know. You guys want me to pull a photo out? Because I have some. Okay, hold tight here. You can watch me as I look over here. So, looking at all these times in my life when I was just not even, I'm going to cover up my friend because she's not going to want to be part of that. But that's me in 2011, 2012. Doesn't even look like me. Like, if you look, I don't even look alive. I was definitely drinking in that photo. If you look, I'm like this. I'm hiding. If you look, I look sad, right? It's not the same Alexandra that you see today. I was definitely going out, and I really liked that tank top. That was a nice tank top. But anyways, yeah, that's the sad Alexandra right there. Okay, so let's keep going. Guys, thank you for the hearts. Thank you for the follows. I'm seeing people with the follows. And thank you for the shares. People need to hear this information, and that's why I'm doing it. Like I said, in 2011, there was nobody talking about it. How long is it contagious when it's a flare-up? So according to the CDC, they're going to say it's 7 days, like a week past your last flare-up. So that's what your doctors are going to tell you. That's what you're going to read CDC or Planned Parenthood, WebMD, things like that. I would say you should use your best judgment. For me personally, after my outbreak goes away, I wait about 24 to 48 hours before I am intimate or have that skin to skin with my husband. But that's the key word here. My husband is aware. My husband is okay. I'm okay if I catch this. Very different than a casual relationship, very different than a partner that's like, I'm very scared. So the key here is communication with your partner. What do you feel comfortable with? What does your partner feel comfortable with? When it's healed for me, I definitely, if I can't feel it, there's no sign of it, it's not tender anymore, I usually wait, 24 hours. But again, that's because I'm in a relationship where my partner's okay with it. Not laughing at the matter, I'm laughing at the way you described herpes. It's constantly contagious. Asymptomatic shedding is real. So it's not constantly contagious. HSV is contagious when the virus is active, right? Like if you have an active lesion, of course. But when the virus is shedding is when you also are contagious. And the problem is what Jacob is saying is asymptomatic shedding, meaning the host, the person, me, you, whatever, we don't always know that we're contagious. And then if we don't know we're contagious, then that's where that gray area is. It's like, am I contagious? Am I not contagious? What are we doing? So asymptomatic shedding, most people in general are asymptomatic for herpes, meaning they have no symptoms. They don't show signs of the HSV virus. They don't know they are contagious. They don't know they have herpes. They don't either don't get outbreaks, or it's like one little bump and they're like, I don't know what this is. Or it's one little paper cut that you get every 5 years and you're like, I don't know what this is. So it's a lot of times misdiagnosed or never diagnosed. 90% of the people with HSV are not going to be diagnosed. I just want to say thank you for recommending that chapstick from the Secret Society. It's fantastic. Oh, thank you. I love it as well. It's what I have on right now. I can't get enough of it either. I don't have any makeup on right now. I'm getting a facial later. But I do have the Secret Society lip balm. It's peppermint lip balm. It has peppermint. It has lysine. It has 100 milligrams of lysine. It also has raspberry seed oil, peppermint oil, cocoa butter, coconut butter. It's all natural, and there's some awesome ingredients here that can help with the pain, help with inflammation, and the lysine will help combat it topically as well if you do get cold sores. So it's all linked for you if you want to check it out. How do we get those ones who supposedly do not have it to be more understanding? Supposedly, that's cute. I know, I like how you say it. Supposedly do not have it. How do we get them to be more understanding? That reminds me of a question I asked my aunt when I was single. And I was like, how did my cousin get her husband to propose? Like, what did she do? Was it lingerie? Was it steak dinners every night? Like, what did she do? And my aunt was like, she didn't do anything. He was ready. He was ready. And I was like, damn. I'm going to relay that to you. There's nothing you can do to convince anybody that they're understanding or not understanding, right? You can provide information. You can lead a horse to water. You can't make it drink. By the way, I saw wild horses yesterday. It's on my Instagram. We were going skiing and there were wild horses. It was so cool. Or wild horse. Anyways, okay, back to this. So the reason why rejection happens, so this is kind of on, the reason why rejection happens is, number one, the person's not emotionally mature to handle the conversation. This is a person that is like silly about periods. This is a person that is like, ew, gross, I can't see you go to the bathroom. This is a person that is like, just can't talk about intimacy on any sort of level, yet he or she can perform the act, but it's like, I don't want to talk about it. So those are examples of someone that's not emotionally mature to have the conversation. The second is there is a deeply rooted belief that herpes is wrong or not acceptable, and that belief isn't going to change, and that person doesn't want to change his belief or her belief. An example, I use religion or I use politics. Let's use religion. Somebody of the Catholic faith is not going to change his view on the Muslim faith. Some of the Muslim faith is not going to change and say, I'm going to become Catholic today, right? Unless you want to change. Usually you're not going to want to hear that, right? So that's the second example. Third example, the person's not into you. That's the hardest one to hear because we think, well, if I didn't have herpes, I'd be picking out my wedding stationery right now. Like as a female, that's like literally like my stationery, my pillows are monogrammed, okay? But since I have herpes, that's the reason. No, that's not the reason. It's the fact that the person's not into you on some level. The person's not ready to be into you. The person's not into you, whatever. So back to your initial question, how do we get those to have more understanding? I would just educate your partner and say, this is what it is. What questions do you have? We have to think of it as a game like tennis. I'm telling you what I have. Now the ball's in your court. What questions do you have? It's not, I'm telling you about my diagnosis and let me just keep hitting. It's now the ball's over here. What do you have for me? Okay, now the ball comes back to me. Okay, now let's talk about it. Let me answer that. Now the ball goes back to you. It's not a tennis with a ball machine, hit, right? So think of that. It's back and forth. It's a relationship. It's a bond. It's creating a foundation with somebody. And that's where it's at. You can pray. You can say, God, I hope that this person will have more understanding. Please allow this person to open up. Please allow this person to hear what I'm hearing. But that's it. There's nothing more we can do. Guys, I have 3 more minutes. And then I actually have my facial. How long does it take to learn that you're contagious? It just depends on do you have symptoms? Do you have blisters? If you have blisters, they're going to do a swab. They should do a swab of the actual blister, and that blister, the viral DNA should come back within a couple of days. If you don't have any symptoms, they're going to do a blood draw. That blood draw should come back in a couple of days. But here's the caveat. If you were just like, let's say this morning you came in contact with somebody that has HSV and you're like freaking out and you run down and you get tested, you're probably going to be negative because your body hasn't had the opportunity to create the antibodies. So if you have come in contact with it and you're testing negative, I'd wait about 90 days and go back and retest. Skin to skin is skin to skin of the area in which the person's infected. So if this hand is infected and I touch here, then this hand should be okay. But this hand has it, and this hand, then that would mean like skin to skin. I'm starting to believe it's something in the food because half of the world seems to have herpes. Everybody pretty much is exposed to it. Yeah, it's like something in the water, right? It's out there. We cannot necessarily avoid it. Listen to your doctors. Yeah, if you have questions, talk to your doctors. Absolutely. Have I ever taken Valtrex and Lysine together? Yes, I have. I no longer take the antiviral, no longer take Valtrex. I just take the herbal. I take Lysine. Here, the Lysine is something that I take daily. It's a non-negotiable in my arsenal for HSV. It is an essential amino acid. It's a protein that helps block the replication. The one that I have linked is the Lysine Monolaurin combo, and I'll talk about Monolaurin in a second, but just because this one's out. Anyways, this is a natural way to help block the replication of the HSV virus. So in other words, it's like a lighter, it's like a fire extinguisher to the HSV virus. It hates it. It doesn't like it. The other thing that I take that is up there is Monolaurin. Monolaurin is lauric acid. It basically helps disrupt the outer layer of an enveloped virus. HSV is enveloped, which means that there's an outer shell. And so our immune system cannot penetrate that shell. So I take Monolaurin as well. What is linked for you is the Monolaurin Lysine combo. Is the Monolaurin Lysine combo. Basically you get more for less swallows, right? Otherwise you'd have to take like this one and that one. So that's the one that's linked for you. Again, these are my non-negotiables. I take it. And then lastly, it's Andrographis, which is right here. It's back there on my desk. That also is very, very potent and exciting. It's very helpful in dealing with anti-inflammatory, it's antiviral, it does a lot of things. It basically helps boost our immune system and helps with the replication of the HSV virus as well. Okay, my friends, I hope you're having an awesome blossom day. I'm gonna run, I'm getting my facial. Thank you for joining me. I truly appreciate you being here. I appreciate you listening. I appreciate you sharing. I appreciate you asking your questions. My apologies that I'm not gonna be able to get to all your questions. But I will be back. I will be back later. I will be back tomorrow for sure, as well as later. So have a very blessed day, and I will see you all soon. Thanks, guys.